No, no,
Yeah.
no.
It's great. We're going to get a free coaching session, you guys.
Yeah.
All right, we are getting started. There we go. We are live. Okay, Justin, thank you so much for being on today. I'm so excited. You are going to be almost like a rare treat for us. We typically have high producing realtors on our thread, but you've made such an impact in Jeff's life and in our lives. And you are kind of going to introduce who you are, but you are a coach, and we are just so excited to kind of get some free coaching. And I think that
Mhm.
mindset is everything. As entrepreneurs, what I found is sometimes business is actually easy and life is really hard. And so if we can figure out life, then business comes easy. So thank you so much, Justin, for pouring into us this hour. I would just like to start this with kind of who are you and why should we listen to you? Who's Justin?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Jeff. Obviously, I've had the honor of being able to, as you just said before this, to to support, to see you guys in business and see how amazing you guys are in that realm, but also get to see behind the scenes of the personal. So I'm just so grateful to be here, to be on the show. Yeah, why you should listen to me? Well, I always I mentor Paul Check. He would always say like, um, yeah, don't take anything I say. Don't believe anything I say. Take it and apply it. And so for me, I'm a holistic. I call myself a holistic lifestyle and health coach. And ultimately, my backstory comes from. I always say God blessed me with a lot of health issues. So I was born with bilateral club feet. So my feet were sideways when I was a baby. They were turned inwards. And from there on, I've had lots of health issues from an early age. I believe that I have been given a life that has allowed me to see it from a different perspective. Multiple kidney stones, wore a metal back brace for over 10 years, appendicitis, braces twice, all kinds of organ issues um, yeah, physical ailments that I believe that have been there for a reason. I always say in my prayer, um, allow me to receive hard as a pathway to peace. And I believe that when I suffer, it's really for the greater good. So I've gone already getting really very deep, but the point of all that is to say, yeah, I'm a holistic lifestyle coach. I believe that if we are not healthy in mind, body, and spirit, everything that we create as a byproduct will be disordered. And so I've had the honor of living my life and having to work through my own ailments, and I believe that my purpose here is to, I always say to Jeff, like I'm just a mirror, I'm a dirty mirror many times. And I just want to reflect back, your light back to you so that you can live a healthier life like Amanda and everyone on this call. If you ultimately are healthy, in mind, body, and spirit, you're going to not only create the life you want, but also help others do the same. So that's, I guess, a brief synopsis of me. And I have a background with the School for Exercise Science, but ultimately, I believe that life's trenches has been the greatest gift of helping me become the health coach, and someone who can help others just really optimize themselves.
So tell me
Thank you,
more
Justin.
about,
I wanted to, Amanda, I wanted to jump in and do another introduction as well. I know you and Laura have some questions. I have some questions. I wanted to just share my short history with Justin real quick, if that's okay.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so sorry I wanted to jump in earlier, but great intro. Thank you, Justin, for being here and being with my group. If you guys don't know, maybe you know, I think everyone's paying attention to me, but maybe they're not. Maybe it's just me, right? I've always struggled with my weight, and I've used food and alcohol as a crutch, as a something to make myself feel better or escape or whatever. And I didn't really know I was doing that. I just thought I was a bigger guy, probably 3.5, maybe 4 years ago. I just thought, I was just a bigger dude and I was just enjoying life, if you will. So, I hired all these health coaches before, and they'll give me good workout plans and they give me, the chicken and rice and the recipes, and you go to the gym and you do that, and they hold you accountable to your workouts and stuff like that. And it helps. I'd say for a couple weeks. For me, maybe it's lasted a few months, and then for whatever reason, I was really struggling with my weight, maybe just a few months after my mom passed away. And Justin just straight up, just like we do as real estate agents, just straight up cold messaged me on social media
And trust me, I get messages from guys all the time. And so do you guys. I got a list of this, I got this, I got that. But for whatever reason, I was like, man, this is maybe this is why I'm struggling, or I would definitely need to get some stuff off my chest. Like, what's this about? So he said, I'm doing a 3-day mastermind with entrepreneurs. It's in, I think that was in North Carolina.
Carolina, yep.
Um, and it's like a 3-day thing, and you should just come out. And I think we said it did some type of competition. If you just tell me why you think you should go,
Yep.
I'll look at that, and then and he did it like a mass post or whatever. So I was like, man, let me just throw a shot in the dark here. So I said, hey, yeah, this is why I think I should go. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so he chose me and one other guy to go out there, and I packed my running shoes. I packed just like I always do. I packed my Apple Watch; it was charged. I packed my electrolytes. I packed my running shoes. I packed my gear, ready to get my butt handed to me for the next 3 days. And I was prepared to do that. Maybe get me in the right track or whatever. And for the first time ever, I show up to this thing, and it is such a different experience than what I thought it was, and it's exactly really what I needed. It was all I thought I was be working out, and Justin will tell you it was a lot of working in. He went straight to the heart, straight to the gut, asked these honestly these terrible questions that I don't know if he remembers, but some of those questions are just tough. They hit you right in the gut and they hit you in the heart, and you really have to think about and answer them. Anyway, it was a
Yep.
really transformative experience. I don't even think I wore my Apple Watch. Like, we didn't work out one time. We did some like dodgeball and we did like a walk, but it was nothing like I thought it was. But it kind of exactly kind of what I needed. So I came back and I hired Justin. I was like, man, that was such a refreshing experience. And I want to work with you kind of thing. So that was about 3 years ago, and in that 3 years, I'm down probably right about 70 pounds in weight. But it's not only the weight and everything; it's just like I just feel like my relationship with God is better, my relationship with my wife is better, my relationship with my kids and my friends, and I'm like came back and set a bunch of meetings, and I was just wanting to like talk to. I set a meeting with Michael, my good friend Mikey Bass, and I was like, "Hey, this is what I've been doing wrong. This is what I'm going to start doing right." I said, I got to talk to my sister. I got to talk to my brother. I got to talk to my wife. Like all those people, like it was almost like a blindfold was like removed from me, and I'm just like, man, everything I'm doing is wrong. I got to tell everyone I'm sorry, and this is what I'm going to do. And it was really refreshing. So, Justin, I tell him all the time. I don't know if he knows how much ripple effect that meeting had on me, and probably those other 10 or 12 guys. But so that was just my little testimony with Justin, and it's never like traditionally health coaches like, oh, you didn't hit the gym. What the heck is wrong with you, dude? You got to. What are you doing? Why are you spending money? And Justin, when you fall short or whatever, he just reminds you of the purpose of why you're doing it and just kind of goes that way. And it's just so refreshing. He's not getting after you. He's like, well, is that leading you towards your purpose in life for your wife and kids, or is that taking you away from it?
Yep.
And those are his kind of questions. And you're like, well, and he knows the answer, right? I know the answer. So it's just kind of a refreshing health coach thing. And he's very talented. He's helped me, my brother, he's helped my sister. And he's helped a couple of my business partners. So I want to try and get him in front of as many people that I do business with that I care about as possible. So anyway, thanks, Justin, for jumping on here. That's my little testimony for Justin. So
Thanks,
anyway,
man.
I love it. Thank you, Jeff. That was awesome. Yeah, so
Beautiful.
I'm a coach snob, and I actually think that I mean, he was brilliant 5 years ago, but holy cow, like you have, and
Yeah.
he has a coach, and he's just been incredible. And you just every year, I'm just impressed on how much you step up your game. I have a question for you that I didn't have
Yeah.
scripted, talking about
Good. Good.
what a blessing it was that you went through all of that stuff. And I feel like us in sales, it's
Yeah.
always like, woe is me, and a deal fell through, and my mom didn't hug me enough, and my dad was like there's always something that of all these reasons why we can't be successful or why we shouldn't go outside the box. And so my question to you, because I'm sure unless you're just brilliant, you were born that way, when did you stop seeing struggle as something to escape? Because a lot of us have that escapism. And when did you start recognizing it as a positive thing that might have a
Mm.
purpose? And then maybe more importantly, once you figure that out, how do you help others make that shift without bypassing the pain? Like, how do you help them face
Yeah.
it straight on and experience it? Because I feel like I would rather have a glass of wine than talk about that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. It's a beautiful question. Thank you, Amanda. So thank you, Jeff, for sharing that. Amanda, thank you for that question. Yeah, I'll be honest, like it wasn't. I've had a lot of people say to me, "Oh, it sounds like you've just got to like you can get so deep, and how do you do that?" And it's my life's been a struggle. It's been a huge challenge. And most of my life, I found myself being in the victim archetype. One of the work I do with a lot of the men, Jeff knows this, is it comes down. A lot of us have child wounds. Our parents, mother and or father, teacher, um, siblings, whoever it may be, that have scarred us in some way, shape, or form. And I realized for me that that's where a lot of it came from. I picked up traits, like for example, a lot of the physical ailments I had. My mother had similar ones, and one of the things I realized growing up that an inheritance that I got from my mother, and I love her, was she would mistake love for attention, meaning that like when she was sick, it was almost like she would get love for it. And so I took that on myself growing up, and I believe that a lot of it, my psyche actually caused a lot of the health issues, which I can get into whole talk on why that is. But for most of my life, at least going my early teenage years, I really struggled and attached myself to my ailments. I would call them um, my ailments. And I one of the breakthrough points I had is I met a woman who ended up being my trauma therapist later on in life, which was beautiful. But I lived in Texas for a little bit. I don't know if you guys knew that. But I was living in San Antonio, and I was really struggling. I was probably in my early 20s. I think I had just began starting online coaching, my Wealthy Body, and I was dealing with some serious migraines, like 3 or 4 days a week. I was really burning the candles at both ends. And this woman was doing work. She was doing like chiropractics and massage work on me, and she touched that was a scar in the back of my head because I was in a really serious car accident a few years before that, which is really where I woke up. I know I'm kind of divulging two different stories here, but I was in a car accident right after college, and I got airlifted to the hospital. And in the helicopter, my my mother asked me like, "Are you like?" No, I sorry. I asked my mother, "Am I dead?" And she's like, "No, no, no. Like, what? Why? Don't say that." I said to her, "My grandfather saved me. He saved me." And um, I say that because that was like just a huge moment for me. That number one, to realize that there's something more. So there's a spiritual level of things that I just didn't understand. But I didn't have any pain. I woke up in the hospital. I woke up with in pain, of course, but it was almost like a second chance had been given to me. I woke up and I saw the world differently. I was so for my whole life I was so engulfed in my trauma and my problems, and I woke up and I was like, whoa, like I could have died there. And so, anyways, I share that story because um ultimately I ended up waking up when I was working with this trauma therapist. She touched my head and she kind of jumped. She's like, whoa, because I guess there's a lot of energy. We store our issues in our tissues, I always say, and there's energy stored in the back of my head of a scar. And she's like, well, I was like, is everything okay? And she's like, well, I felt a lot of energy in your head. Like, what happened there? I was like, oh, that's where I got in a car accident. No big deal. That's why I get my migraines. And she says to me, are they your migraines? And I'm like, yeah, they're my migraines. Of course, they're my migraines. What do you mean? They're not your migraines. And she's like, are you sure? Like, do you want these migraines? And I'm like, no, of course not. Well, then why are you identifying with them? And something really shook me when she said that. And I realized how much I was identifying with my ailments. Even I say it right there, my ailments, the ailments. So from that point forward, I called it the migraines. I started to disidentify from the struggles and see them as a it's like going to the gym. My mentor Paul Chek, he always says it's like the spiritual life is like a gym, spirit gym. And from that point forward, I began to see all my ailments as things that could help better me. The Native Americans have an incredible quote that they would say, which is, if what I'm doing today is not benefiting 7 generations ahead of me, then I probably shouldn't be doing it. And ultimately, I believe that our suffering, I carry this cross with me all the time. No matter what your, religion is, I believe that we're all called to carry our cross. And I realize that, if I am not willing to carry my cross, then I won't get strong enough to help others carry theirs. And so ultimately, that's the to kind of transition into. There's so much I could say, but to transition into the men and the people that I've supported is, and Jeff touched on it beautifully. I always say this to clients, like straight up. I'm going to be blunt here. Hope I don't offend anyone, but any fat person can follow a fat person plan. Um, any poor person can follow. Any fat person can follow a healthy person plan. Sorry. Any poor person can follow a rich person plan to get money. But ultimately, are you shifting in the identity? Are you shifting who you are in that process, or are you just doing the things because you're being told you should do them? And so that's the biggest thing, that like with Jeff and anyone I work with, I don't treat the results that they want. I don't help them get the results they want, because many times the worst thing that could happen is that we actually get the results that we wanted. It's not that we fail. Failure actually allows us to improve. But success, if I had back when I was 13, I was getting, having these back procedures done. If God had just snapped his finger and taken me out of pain, then I wouldn't have grown through the pain. I would have just been entitled and given something that I wasn't ready for, and I wouldn't have became who I am. And so ultimately, I always say it's like, in order to um, truly be free, we must have a healthy detachment from what we want, and be willing to be present with what we have right now. So the Bible says, to those who have, more will be added. To those who have not, the little that they have will be taken away. And so that's the biggest thing with men like Jeff, and anyone who wants, success in real estate, for example. The question is why? Um, why do you want that success? Is it because you want to be seen a certain way, um, have certain things, or is it for a greater purpose? Is it something you're avoiding, or is it something that you are, something you can give back and be of service? Ultimately, I believe we're here to be of service. We're here to be caretakers, and love and serve others. And that's ultimately, for me, when I'm helping someone like Jeff or anyone, is help them grow and the virtue of service, and ultimately everything else will follow as a byproduct.
That's so true. I love
So I'll
that.
pause there. Yeah.
We in January we all set our goals, and then we kind of almost backwards did them. Instead of saying like, what do you want, right? Like, what do you want? We all say, oh, I want $100,000. I want a
Right.
boat. I want the beach house, right? But no
Right.
one really asks. John Maxwell talks about this. He says, you want to do what I do, but do you want to do what I did to get to where I?
Yes. Yeah.
And he
Mm.
talks about, instead of what do you want, who do I need to become? And so I love that
Yep.
you talk about identity. And
Yep.
is that how you help people shift from, let's say, because a lot of your clients are entrepreneurs, you target people and
Yep.
say, I feel like you feel like you can help them. How do you help them as far as business goes? Because I have a lot of people on here who are either, selling houses, or they're building teams, or they're building organizations, and they've got this one little limiting belief of, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to make that phone call. I don't want them to
Mm,
judge me. Is that
mm.
is that a get your reps in kind of gym, like it's hard until it's not hard, or is that an identity shift that's needed?
Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges I see, many times I do feel like a business coach, even though that's not my role. But I would say one of the biggest challenges I see with high performers is they are going so hard. You said that your word last year, Amanda, was simplify, right? And so I see so many entrepreneurs and high performers, they're going at the speed of light, and they go so fast and so hard that they can't actually take some moment to see what they're doing. And it's almost like, many times when they get to me, they've created so much chaos, whether they're successful or not. I've worked with men, like Jeff, of course, who, you guys are very successful, and I have clients I've worked with who, are making almost nothing. And the thing that they have in common is, no matter how much money there is, many times we feel as though we lack outside of us. So you mentioned identity. So the identity is a big piece, because if we are in a lack state, we're gonna I'm gonna constantly be trying I'm gonna be in survival state, right? I'm gonna feel like as though I'm dying all the time. And many times I work with, you know, there's this stress is the root of all disease. Dis-ease leads to disease. And so many of us are going at the speed of light. We aren't we can't slow down because we think we're gonna die. And that leads to burnout, which is, it's such a big problem at burnout. And then what we do as entrepreneurs is we mask that burnout, right? We mask it with coffee, with alcohol, with, any, Adderall,
Transactions.
transactions, right? Making money, work is one
Hmm.
of the biggest addictions that I see. And I've been there. That's how I can speak on this. Like I've done all those things, right? And so a big part of it is simplification. It is, I'd say the biggest thing that I would offer to anyone listening to this is being willing to see the truth of yourself. I pray to God all the time, God, help me see the truth of myself, because many times I can't. How can I see the truth of who I am, and how I'm ultimately destroying myself, and how is that impacting other people? When we can slow down, when I can slow down and see the truth and realize that what I'm working for, who am I destroying in the process to get there? And ultimately, that's what I see with so many men and women and families, is we aren't willing to stop for a moment. The analogy I always give is like, if you're in water and you've got a giant, like, 100-pound weight on you, and you're just treading water all the time, like, what are you going to do? Eventually you're going to run out of steam. Um, the best thing to do is just stop, go under the water, cut the weight off, and then lie on the water for a while and just sit there and just float and regain your energy. So that way you can swim back to safety, is kind of the analogy I like to use. So I don't know if that answered your question, Amanda, but that's I kind of went on a side tangent there. But that's ultimately what I see, and how I work with people is I help them see the truth of what they've created. Many times we can't see it, but then reorient them towards their dream. I always like to say there's a if your dream is big enough, you don't need a crisis to make a change. And so orient towards the dream. What are you really truly creating? Because many of us get into the entrepreneurial world because we have a dream and then forget it, a few moments in. And next thing you know, we're just running like a hamster on a wheel again. And that I see that many times in the body, which is where I come in to help the person ultimately heal themselves, so that everything they create, everything they create, it actually bears fruit. Last thing I'll say is I believe we're all meant to be a tree of life. Many of us, we go and we pick from trees. We see a tree with, a beautiful tree, apple tree, and we're hungry. So what do? We grab a bunch of apples off the tree, and we stuff our bags, and we get enough, and then we leave, and then we come back again. We keep coming back. I believe as entrepreneurs, as high performers, real estate agents, whatever your vocation is, we're here to be trees of life. Become the tree, have the abundance, and not just financial, but in mind, body, and spirit, have the abundance where anyone can pick from your tree, and you're just going to regrow. So
So,
hope that answers.
so yeah, no, thank you. That's, I mean, super deep. I want to be a little
Yep.
bit very like tactical. And I have
Sure.
some specific questions, like kind of from
Cool.
when Jeff was talking at the very beginning, because I'm interested, and I think a lot of us here are interested in, no offense, Jeff, like the fat Jeff, because you're not fat anymore. Um, so he talked about how he had tried a bunch of stuff, right? Like, and
Mm.
this can apply to like people with diets trying to, get healthier or lose weight. I think with realtors and our businesses, we can
Yep.
talk about whether or not we're doing the right things to produce transactions, or whether or not we're trying to attract agents and doing what's needed for that. Um, so what do you think is different about how you tapped into Jeff to get him to change? Like, specifically, are there questions you ask people? How do you get people to do this? Like, what, and I'm not saying I want you to tell us in 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
are there magic key questions that people have to be asked or ask themselves? Give me some like specific nuggets. Like, what are some of the things that you would ask or say to Jeff to try to help move him on his identity and the things that you just talked about?
Yeah, it's a great question, Laura. I would say the biggest thing that I would ask Jeff or anyone who's trying to make a change, well, first of all, I have to meet people where they're at. So many times, um, I've worked a lot of manifesting retreats, and it's really easy to compare. We live in a social media world, right? We live in where we can look at people and say, "Oh, I want to look like that person." Um, but it's like, as Amanda said, are you willing to do what that person did to get there? And so ultimately, with Jeff and with anyone, I have to get clear on what they want. What are your dreams? What are you looking to accomplish in your life? Um, but then also be willing to come down to where they are. I always say to Jeff, like, you're the fighter. I like to use boxing analogies. Like, you're the man in the ring, for you, or the woman in the ring. You're the fighter, you're the fighter, and I'm just in the corner here, and I'm seeing you either getting punched really hard, or you're throwing some good punches. I see what's going on, but ultimately you're the one that has to go in there and put your hands up and punch. And so I would say the biggest tactic that I've learned from my coaches as well, because I've had, I'm nothing without, like, I still want to say I'm nothing. Like, I'm just a mirror. My coaches have helped me so much, and ultimately, I believe empowerment's the biggest thing. Um, so many of us live in a shame and guilt cycle, and so that's a big thing. Me and Jeff had to get clear on, is like, where are you holding on to shame and guilt? Um, where are you struggling to accept who you are? And there's a fine line, because we can accept ourselves and then be like, okay, I get comfortable with ourselves. That's not what I'm saying. Is asking Jeff, or anyone again, um, where are you currently at? And I don't know if I'm answering this well, because I can't think of exact questions I might ask. It's really kind of spur of the moment, but ultimately, it's getting clear on where they're at in the moment, and helping them to not be ashamed, but help them see themselves for their potential of who they could be.
Do you
Does that
Yeah,
make
think,
sense?
yeah, no, I'll interject
Maybe if you
here
want
real
to,
quick.
yeah, if you want
I'll
to answer, Jeff.
interject real quick, Laura. So one of the questions that what Justin's good at in a one-on-one or one on a few conversation is getting you to internalize and picture where you want to be. And then once you do that, he asks you these questions that just kind of can throw you off or really like, is that what you want? So what to answer
Yeah,
your question again, I don't want to I don't want to answer for Justin, but one of the questions that he helped for me is he got me to realize my passion and my purpose, and he got me to picture myself on this mountain with me and my family and my kids, and I was like, got me in this. It's not a trance or anything. Michael start laughing. But he just got me in this mindset where I was like, okay, I can see it now. And then he'll be like,
yeah,
all right, you're up there with your kids and your wife and you're strong and you're carrying everybody with you and blah blah blah. And what if you had to, and then he'll say, if you had to pick one thing out of all the things that could get in the way, what would that one thing be? Is
right.
one of the questions he answered. And then you would answer that question, and then he would kind of dive into that and really
Yeah,
define it and kind of work backwards from it and blah blah blah. And like, and then so just your, and the biggest thing he always says is, now you're aware of it. So when you
right,
are trying to build yourself up, whether it be financially, physically, mentally, spiritually, and something gets in the way, think of this moment, think of that question, Raul, and just be
yeah,
aware of it. So that's one, but it's not, I can tell you after working 3 years, Laura, it's not just one question he asks you. It's just
right,
these questions based on your meetings and stuff like that. But that was one big one, was picturing yourself there, and you've done it and you completed it. But what's like a what's something that will keep you from doing that? Um, anyway, so
I
that, I
heard
hope that helped it out a
yeah,
little.
I heard one the other day that said, "What's the one thing that if you changed, it would change everything?" And I was like, "Oh, I
mm,
really like that. If you just change this one thing, it would change everything." And like, it really makes you just think differently. Okay, so you
yeah,
talked about you're a coach and you've been a coach for a while, but you have a coach. And I've always been, I'm a pain. Like, I'm not very coachable. I have a control freak issue, all the thing. I know all the things, right?
hmm, oh yeah,
I've had a coach for the team. I've never personally had a coach, and Jeff's had you for a long time and has made a huge impact. I actually hired my first coach for this year, like a month ago, and it's made. That's why I'm like driving people crazy. I'm on fire for it.
yeah.
As a coach, and this is kind of a double-edged sword, how important, why do you have a coach? Like, how important is it to you as a coach to have a coach? Because I feel like typically as coaches, we're selling a
Yep.
product to someone, but you're actually living that truth of you have one too. What impact has that coach made on your life?
Yeah, that great question. Carl Jung, he's a famous psychologist. Maybe you guys have heard of him. He calls it the shadow. We all have a shadow self. With a shadow, there's a side of us when we're walking outside. We can't see our shadow. Um, there's a part of us that we all have that we just can't see ourselves. And so for me, it's like I said with the boxing analogy, the coach is someone who can see both two sides. There's the dark shadow, basically the part of us. What is the shadow? It's the part of us that's destructive. But it's like Jeff said, that what are the things that are holding you back? Well, sometimes it's external, but many times it's internal. Um, and for me, having a coach has been, I've had the blessing of being able to live with my coach for a little while. And that was one of the, it sounds like, oh, people hear the story of me and my coach George, and they're like, oh, that's so cool. You got to live with your coach. Yeah, until you actually do it, you know. And me and Jeff will obviously spend a few days together, but every quarter. But it's one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life because he's a constant mirror back to me of my own shortcomings. In a loving way, of course, but it's not easy to see yourself. It's so we have I lived in the wilderness for a little while for I did a wilderness program. It was a 3-week program, and they talked about how animals they get into ruts. A rut is basically it's when deer they go in a certain trail over and over because they know it's safe and it's comfortable for them. And so having a coach, what it does is it allows you they basically force you out of your rut. We get comfortable doing the same thing. We have these automatic programmings. In the book Psycho-Cybernetics, it talks about a lot this idea of we just do the same thing over and over again. It's insanity. Do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And why do we do that? Well, it's like you said, Amanda, it's the identity. We're stuck in a certain identity. And so having a coach is twofold. Number one, it helps me see my shadow side. Where am I failing to see myself and my shortcomings? Where am I really not showing up? Even the way I think I'm showing up, right? I might think I'm acting and performing a certain way, but they're there to help call me up and say, "Hey, Justin, you're not. This is what you're actually doing." And the other side is the golden shadow. He talks about the golden shadow, which is the things of ourselves that we can't see that are actually beneficial. Humility is a word that I meditate on a lot. What is humility? It's the truth of yourself. So people think, oh, I need to be humble and lower myself. That's not what humility is. Humility is to see the truth of who you are, not above and not below. So for me, having a coach is so beneficial because there's this idea of we can have a map and we can have a terrain. If I were to draw this, it'd be a circle of a map, and then on the outside be a square of a terrain. And many times we're just operating on our map, and we can only see what the map gives us. But what happens when we push our comfort zone and we want to leave the map? Well, we have no way of navigating. So coaches, like for me, the analogy is I'm walking into the jungle and I want to go into the jungle, but I've never been there before. And it's the guy, my coach is someone who has been in the terrain and can show me around. So for me, that's been the biggest shift is allowing me to see myself and push me in a way where my coach knows me, knows who I am, knows my shortcomings, knows my passions, knows my dream, and can actually have my best interests in mind is a huge part. What if someone is looking for a coach is the heart of the coach and the heart of the person they're working with. That's such a there's a combining of mind and heart that when you do that, it's you can very integrated and can do a lot of good in the world. So yeah, I'd say for me, it's I wouldn't be here without it. And whenever I don't have a coach, I found that that's usually when I flounder the most, and I get maybe a little extra cocky, little more prideful, and just ultimately just stay stuck and just try and do it on my own.
So you just mentioned some negative words, which lead me to this question.
Cool.
Kind of like simplified and just give me some like key descriptors. What makes somebody coachable or uncoachable?
Mm, yeah. What makes somebody coachable or uncoachable?
Either way, just like if you're a coachable person, what does that look? Because I know
Yeah.
a lot of us want to grow.
Yes.
And realtors sometimes have nasty, I mean, all humans do, but I
Yes.
think a lot of us have nasty personality characteristics sometimes. We
Yeah.
think we want to grow, but so what makes somebody coachable? What makes somebody uncoachable?
Yeah. It's kind of the words I just mentioned. It's the difference between pride and humility. So someone who is, and I'll be the first to raise my hand. I've been here so many times. The person that's not coachable is the person that thinks that they have everything figured out. They think that they know. And like in my world, I already know how to eat healthy, dude. Don't tell me what to do. I already know how to work out. Don't tell me what to do. It's the in scripture, I just love to pull from scripture. Hopefully that's okay. But in scripture, it's the Pharisees are the religious Jews in the Bible who do all the things. They do all the rituals. They do everything that they're supposed to do, but they're not doing it with an open heart. They're not doing it, they're not being intentional about it. So the person who's prideful is number one, either just blind to like don't even realize that they're doing all the wrong things. Or number two, they might be doing the right things, but the intention isn't there. They're just doing it just to prove themselves. They're doing it to impress people. They're doing it out of pride and ego. Um, ego and fear is a big thing that I see in the world with myself and the men I work with, people I've worked with, is someone if they're stuck in fear and they're again in this defensive mode, um, then they're going to be it's being very challenging to Amanda says fear is huge in our sales world. Yeah, it's going to be very challenging to help guide them because I have my word for 2026 is trust. Is trust. I failed in my life because of my own traumas to open up and trust people. I close off when I'm and this is so many people, so many of us. But when I feel like I'm being attacked, or if I'm uncertain about things, I'll close off and I won't trust anyone. And that is ultimately for someone to be coachable, you have to be willing to be betrayed in a negative sense, but in a positive sense, you have to be willing to open your heart and receive. That's what I believe is true abundance. Is can I open up and receive? Can I be willing to accept that I don't know everything? Like I myself don't know everything, and when I do, and I can do that, I can be like more like a child in a sense, and I can be open and receptive. Um, we live in a world where, again, this is myself in many ways, is we're so much on the go, 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 and the energetic masculine always doing that we fail to be receptive and open to other perspectives. And now I think that there is a nuance here. If we're too open and we listen to everyone and anyone, then we can become overwhelmed and we can have information overload. And then that leads again to closed off because you think you know everything. Yeah, I have all this information, I have all these ideologies, I don't need your help. And so I believe that one of the most important, I believe the trend that we're going into, and I'm sure you guys see this in the real estate sales space, is the trend that I believe we're shifting into is real human connection, is authenticity, is we really need, that's where I'm shifting with in my coaching, is we really need to not just sell to make money. Like we're so transactional in this day and age. If that, I don't know if that resonates with you guys, but we're so transactional. And I think now ultimately the coaching space, needing a coach and just in general humans, we need to be open to connect and communicate and be and remember that we're all in this game of life together. We're not against each other.
We've been talking a lot about that in real estate calls related to AI because any
Yeah,
type of
yeah,
training we do that says like has AI in the title,
yeah.
realtors are flocking to it because they want to learn it. But
Mm,
it never fails that the opposite of that is that people are going to crave human connection, like you just said. And so
yes.
I think that that's inevitable. And I do think that even like Amanda and I are experiencing this right now with people wanting to come be in a community. And
Yeah.
so I
Yes.
think it's interesting, like even in your space, like we can all get any information we need online pretty much now. Like
Yes.
we can get everything we need from YouTube or AI now. And so I feel like there's like this rubber band stretching, right? And it's gonna like
Yep.
bounce back to like smack human to human because that's what
Yes.
people are gonna need because that electronic interaction is not actually fulfilling to our soul. And I think that's kind of
Totally.
what you just said in a way. I have a really weird question. I'm sorry,
Good.
Amanda,
I
if you
like
had another
those.
one. Because Amanda and I are in a lot of groups with women, and we've got a lot of men on this call. And most of the women that are on this call are probably married or have been married or have a boyfriend. And I've talked to Jeff in some personal capacities. I want to know what is the biggest thing that you think men need to know right now, or like a gap. What is a secret or something that men in this world, because I feel like there's this interesting
Mm.
dynamic with men in the world right now. We're very woman powerish, all of us women.
Yes.
You work only with men, right?
Currently, yeah, my coaching business has been only men. I have worked with both though.
So what do
So
you
I can
what do
I
you
can
think?
relate, but yes,
Yeah.
it's a men's coaching company. Yeah.
So what do you think men need right now?
It's a great question, Laura. I can talk on this for hours.
How much time do
I
you
will
have?
try.
Try not
Yeah,
to. Try to do like a two
yeah,
to
yeah,
2.5 minute answer.
yeah. I think the simple answer is men need to be called up.
Hmm.
They need to be called up. I believe that the reason why I can talk on this for so much, but I need to be called up. I've been the Bible says 1 Corinthians 13, my favorite quote. Me and Jeff say it all the time. But when I was a child, I acted like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I let go of childish behavior. Now this could be applied to women as well, of course. But you asked me about men specifically, and I believe that too many men. And I'm just going to be honest. If I offend someone, I'm sorry. But I believe too many men are not being called up to be the protectors and providers that they're meant to be, and they fall for traps, the traps of the world, vices, which we can get into all that. But they fall for the trap of vices because they don't believe that they are worthy of being a man. Are not they feel as though they're lacking. Are not they need something to validate themselves. So I'll just be honest, the men that I work with, the vices, porn, women, alcohol, again, work, trying to prove themselves. And I believe that men need to be called up to be here now, to be present, to steward what they have in front of them, and um, to be open, um, emotionally enough. How do I say this? I think too many men are not grounded. They're not able to just put their feet in the sand and just be here with whatever's in front of them. We run away, we escape. And one of our retreats, Jeff wasn't there, but one of our retreats, we did a burial ceremony, which was pretty cool. But during that time, it was an hour of just silence, and I could see, man, they're just like tweaking. They couldn't do it. They're like, what do I do with myself? Um, and I believe that men need to be called up. I think they need to have powerful women in their life that can say, "Hey, I need you to be my man right now. You have your role." I believe I had a mentor of mine, Dr. Nicole Hewitt. She's a trauma therapist, and she once said, "Men and women are equal, but they're not the same. And we all have our own sacred roles that we're meant to play in." And I believe that men need strong women who can say, "Hey, I need you to step up," but also be loving and respectful of them. And men need to also step into the role of like, I'm not going to shy away. I'm not going to run away. I think alcohol and work are both so dangerous vices. Um, yeah, we numb ourselves. Men need to be told you don't need to numb yourself. Um, Everything you are is enough. You are enough. Like if I had a man friend right now, I would say, "You are enough. God made you perfect." And um, you can't stay in this child. You have to step up. And what does it mean to step up? Well, I use a model. It's called the I we all model. So it's like a pyramid. The bottom is I. Let's take care of yourself. A man needs to take care of their physical body, their nutrition, their movement, their sleep. because if they don't, a woman can't trust them. It's like, I can't trust you to take care. You can't even take care of yourself. How are you going to take care of this business and this family? And then what happens is the man will then overcompensate. They'll have to push further to prove themselves. But it doesn't matter how much money you make because the woman's not going to trust them. And I'm sure you got, maybe you guys resonate. I don't know. But so you take care of yourself and you build trust with yourself. This is what me and Jeff talked about. It's like you have to build equity with yourself. And then as a byproduct, you can step into the we, which is the next phase, the we, which is your family, your loved ones, people that are in your close circle. And then and only then do you move into the all, which is impacting other people. So that's what I would say is a man needs to know that they are enough, and they need and because they're enough, to have the courage to do the right thing, which is take care of yourself so that you can be of service to other people. Hopefully that was helpful. I tried to keep it quick.
We've got a hot topic. I think we could do a whole nother hour on it.
Yeah,
Kristen, I see your hand is up.
Yes, thank you, Amanda. Thank you so much, Justin. That
of
last
course.
couple minutes, that was like
I just get warmed up.
amazing. So
Yeah, of course.
I have two questions. The first kind of goes with what you just talked about, which is any tips on how, as successful women, how can we call up our men without demasculating them? That's a big
great
We
question.
could spend an hour on that. And then my second
Yes.
question would be, as a woman with adult sons, any insights or tips on how I can help, or what would be a good tip or nugget on as I transfer from parenting to coaching my adult sons to help them to be men of excellence and help them to step into their adult roles as spouses and fathers and caregivers and providers. So there you go. There's
Beautiful.
another 33 hours of content.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
love it. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Kristen. So I'll speak from I have some answers for this. One of my biggest challenges for me as a coach has always been one word, which is control. Is I have felt it's been I've actually had to pull back and reorder things because I many times because I would just control. As a coach, anyone who's a coach can probably relate to this. We take on the energy of whoever we're supporting. I take on the energy of whoever I'm supporting. And it's almost like, I think a lot of women probably fall into this. When you see a man who is not at the level they should be, I want to, with many clients, I want to just grab their hands like a puppet and just like control what they do. Like I want to hold your hand and help. And I've done that many times in my coaching business. I've done that even with Jeff at times, and I've failed. I have personally failed by doing that. When me and him were talking actually recently, and we were talking about this idea of if you treat someone like a child, like it's the old adage is if you act like a child, I'm going to treat you like a child. But the paradox is if you treat someone like a child, they're going to act like a child. And so this is the hard thing for me. This is a hard thing for me to realize is ultimately, I believe we have to let go of control and let the person fail and let them come to their own conclusions and this is where faith, I think, is a big thing. Yeah, man, it says don't steal their struggles. Exactly. Faith is such an important factor is trust that if you let your hands off the wheel, that they're going to be guided. God's going to guide them, or we believe they're going to be guided in the right direction. And if they're not, they're going to learn from it. It has not been easy many times when I've worked with clients and I've seen them lose 20, 30, 40 pounds in a 3-month period. And then they decide not to continue the coaching. I know that they have only seen the results, but they haven't seen the shift internally. I know that they're going to, I hope, I pray for them, but there's a good chance they're going to fail. And so ultimately, I think with Jeff, he mentioned 3 years, 70 pounds. He didn't mention throughout that journey, the first 2 years, the ups and the downs and the weight shifts and the struggles. It's really been this last year that things have really shifted for him on that level. And a big part, I believe, is me giving him the reins to fail and being of support being of support when he succeeds, and being there to lift him up when he's down and congratulate him when he's up. Um, yeah, we're so hard. One thing I've came to realize is most of us are so hard on ourselves when no one's watching. Like, I challenge anyone listening to this, spend 30 minutes just in silence and see how hard it is for you, and see what the voices say. The voices in your mind say, it's probably going to be tough because we're so hard on ourselves. So to answer your question, Kristen, is um, you have to call them up, set the expectations, the standard. You have to know what your standard is for them, and ultimately, though, you have to. I think a woman in a marriage, for example, has to be willing to let their man fail, um, and let them go on their own, and fight through the battles, the adventure, and the journey of becoming a man. Same thing with the woman. It's the same thing. I think too many men probably control their wife. I want you to do this, and ultimately we have to let go. And so, um, there's a great quote. Saint Francis of Assisi's. Uh, Again, whatever your religion is, but he talks about, preach the gospel at all times, the good news, preach the truth, use words if necessary. Use words if necessary. So what I mean by that is, it's one thing to say, you need to do this, you need to do that. But ultimately, I think the best way of teaching is by doing, is by being. All right. If you can be the example, then you're setting a standard, you're being a mirror for that person. One of two things is going to happen. Number one, they're going to see you. I'm sure, Jeff, you've experienced this. I've experienced in my life. When you start to succeed, they see you and they're like, then they start hating you for it. Like, how could you? Like, how could you do this? Or they say, wow, like, I'm so inspired by this person. Maybe I should ask them how they're doing. Maybe I should strive to be that way. I should strive to be like them. So the short answer to the long response is let go of control, because anything that you see that you want to control in them is just your own work that needs to be done. I know it's like a hard thing to share, but like, whenever I see someone who I like, you need to fix yourself, you need to do better. It's really it's a mirror as to where I am failing to love. My mentor says to me all the time, it does not take courage to fight, it takes courage to love. Anyone can fight and yell and get pissed off and, oh, you're doing this wrong. But can you love them in their shortcomings and give them the space to step up? Doesn't mean you should be okay with it. Ultimately, if it's affecting you negatively, you have to do what's right for you. But can you give them the space, to grow on their own? So for like a young adult, that's what I would say is, set the example, and ultimately just be that model, because they're watching you. They're watching you like a hawk. Um, my parents were like that. They would say things, but they would act a different way, and it confused me. It gave me an identity crisis, which I've had to spend tens of thousands of dollars on mentors and programs to get a little bit better, to get a little bit more empowered in myself, and still lots of work to do. But hope that answered your question, Kristen.
This is awesome. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you're open to it, I would love to sign you up maybe for next month. Or I know you and Jeff have kind of played with the idea of doing like a 6 week something, but I think that your coaching is brilliant. I love that you work on identities, but we're so fascinated by this man versus woman because there's so many alpha boss babes in this group, and the
Yeah.
dynamic is so interesting that I think that we're going to have more of that.
Yeah, I get really passionate about this stuff, so it feels like it's been 10 minutes to me. I know we're probably running out of time, but
I
Oh,
agree, but I feel like it's kind of like we can like go behind the scenes like from a man's perspective, and I think a lot of
yeah.
women really need that because we get wrapped up in our like woman roaring woman
Mhm.
power thing, and I think that we are a part of the equation naturally,
Oh,
right? So
absolutely. Yeah.
I would love that. I would love a deeper dive, Amanda.
yeah.
Yeah, let's do a deeper dive, maybe next month on it, and then have some. Justin's super passionate. I love these calls when he just pours into me, and he's like, okay, I'll stop. But I can listen to it all day. So, but it would be good to do a call that's, and then Laura and Amanda can can talk to your boss babes and generate some, like, hard questions and give those to Justin beforehand, and you can be prepared to answer and hopefully share. Because I think if we're obviously in our best selves and we're have our really close relationship with God and our husbands or and wives, and our business is just going to be better. And if we don't, our business is gonna struggle, or you're going to use the business, like Justin said, just to get out of your marriage and just to escape. So,
Yeah.
no way we can handle everything that Justin is capable of coaching us in the hour. But want to make sure Amanda or Laura didn't have any questions, then I'll wrap this up real
No,
quick.
I'm just grateful for something different, and I think that no matter if I loved Kristen's question related to her sons,
Yeah.
because I think anybody, whether you're married or single and you're looking for your next partner, or you have children, all of this is super applicable. So I love it.
Thank you, Justin. This was incredible.
Great. Justin, if you guys want, I think I'll do what Justin doesn't like to do, and I'll sell him a little bit. You guys
Yeah.
need it. Whether it's Justin or somebody else, you need someone to bounce stuff ideas. You need someone to just get stuff off of your chest and stuff like that. And yes, he does work a lot with men and stuff like that, but I think he brings an incredible value to the women's perspective as well, because he's not
Yep.
afraid. I'm afraid to say some stuff to my wife because I'm like, I don't want the ramifications of that. Justin will apologize and he'll say it like he believes it is. Take it for what you want.
Right.
I'm non-denominational, so I bounce around from church to church, and I take 85% of it usually. Sometimes 10, 15, I leave it. So I would do the same thing with any coach, but
Yep.
his Instagram is The Natural Warrior, I believe.
Yep.
Just type in Justin Feldman. But if you guys want to talk to him about some type of group coaching or one-on-one coaching, or he's all different types of programs, and you guys can reach out to me, where I can share his email with you guys and contact him, and just you'll have sessions kind of like that, kind of weekly, but just based on your relationship with God and financially, physically, spiritually, kind of stuff like that. So again, I'm going to pitch him. I'm going to try to continue to put him into my circle of people, because I think he's going to help and be able to help. And the better dynamic we have with everyone, the better our businesses will be. So, but reach out to me if you guys want to talk to Justin on the side, and then also follow him on social and reach out. Does anybody have anything? I know we're jumping off. Else, if not, again, you can reach to me or something after, or Amanda, and then let's get you on the docket for maybe maybe mid next month, maybe Valentine's Day. This would be a hot Valentine's Day topic,
Oh yeah. Lots to talk about.
right?
Totally sexy. I love it.
Or maybe mid-February we do something like that. So
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin, for your time. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, just wanted to say thank you guys for listening, and I'm really honored to be here, and it's been a blessing to be on here and share share some of the things that are on my heart. My words, I don't claim to be right with a lot of stuff I say, but I just appreciate all of you guys. I see you guys as you guys are all light workers in what you do, and we need people who are willing to grow, because the world's in shambles right now, and so just you guys being here. Um, is really important. We're all connected on a deep level. So thank you guys for receiving this.
Awesome.
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, of course.
We will see you in a few weeks. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
It'll be fun. Awesome. Thank you all. We'll do this again next Tuesday. We'll have a different speaker every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central. We love to pour into you. And thank you for being here. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye, Laura. Bye, Justin. Bye, Jeff.